Okay, second try here. Let's send it over to Haktical for Dragon Warrior Monsters 2 any %. Take it away. Woo!
Sorry about the slight controller issue. So I'm Haktical. I'm joined here by two of my friends. If you want to introduce yourselves.
I'm Highspirits. You just heard me a minute ago on the host. So.
I'm TheCowness. I've run quite a few of these games myself.
All right, and so before I start the run, just a quick note about the naming incentives. So there are 3 incentives. One is for the main character. We can close that incentive now. I need that to start the run. And then the worm/armorpede naming incentive will be about 5.5 minutes into the run. When I enter into the first world is when we'll close that. So if you have any last-minute incentives or donations for that name, please get those in now. And then the bear is going to be when I leave Pirate, about 45 minutes into the run. So just so you all know how long you've got to get your donations in, that's what you got. So if I could get the main character file name whenever you can, that would be great.
Sure thing. Just give me 1 sec to refresh and make sure we've got the latest one.
I think last I checked, Bob was winning, but waiting on confirmation here.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. They're moving a little bit slower.
Not a problem.
Let's see.
We all get to enjoy this nice file creation music anyway.
Yep. All right. Our winning name for the main character is Bob with $36.
Excellent. That is a wonderful name for a wonderful person.
Indeed it is.
Okay, so I am ready to start the run, so I will count us down. The run starts when I hit yes here. The run will end at the end of the credits. So, yeah, we're going to get going in 3, 2, 1, go.
Woo!
All right, Dragon Warrior Monsters 2. So, this game starts off with a family of monster masters who are moving to the island of Great Log. There are 2 versions of this game, Kobe's Journey and Terra's Adventure. I am playing the Kobe version, so I'm playing as Kobe, the blue hat guy. Terra's his sister. There are some small differences between the 2 versions, but nothing major. We'll talk about them as they come up. But yeah, we're playing a family of monster masters that's moving to Great Log, and certainly nothing is going to go wrong as soon as we get there.
I mean, if it was a right RPG, something would go wrong right now. You wouldn't get there, you know?
Yeah, you'd probably have a bird attack you while sailing over or something.
Hey, where's Leviathan? Like,
Get this nice little sailing animation, and welcome to Great Log. Kids are playing on the farm here, so this is the farm area. We'll be back here a couple times. This is where the character's house is. This is where our monsters are going to come back to when we recruit them if they don't go into our party immediately. And we're going to start off by talking to Mom. She's going to give us some stuff to do. She wants us to go pick up this nut pie that was delivered to us from the shop and bring it home. But along the way, we're gonna run into these 2 fellows, Prince Kamea and Warabo. And there's some jokesters. They're playing pranks on people of the town, and of course, we're the new people in town, so we get the brunt of the jokes, and you'll see here shortly that they will attempt to be stealing people's packages, and that's certainly an indication of what's going to come with our pie. So yeah, this game is a monster recruitment game. We've got a few minutes in the intro here, so I'll just talk about the general gist of the game. It's a monster recruitment game for the Game Boy Color. It's a black cart game, which means that it can play on the regular Game Boy also, but it gets compared a lot to the likes of Pokemon, obviously being a Game Boy game with 2 versions. It's got some similarities there. It's kind of loosely based off the Dragon Quest V mechanics of monster recruitment for anyone who's played DQ5. If you haven't, you'll see that later in the run, but that was actually really one of the first games, definitely the first game in the DQ series to introduce monster recruitment. And then there's also the monster breeding mechanic, which is going to be kind of similar to, I like comparing it to like the fusion system from the Shin Megami Tensei games. Not exactly the same, but so you'll see elements of all three of those series, DQ, Pokemon, SMT, like you'll see elements from other RPG series you know and love kind of mixed in. So yeah, Warabout here is hungry and stole our pie, and while they were playing, knocked out this plug that's in the tree for some reason, and now all of Great Log's life force energy is escaping into the void, and the only way to stop it is for Warabout to jump in and try to plug the hole with his own self. So says, we need a monster master in order to help us with this problem, because otherwise the island's going to sink. So we're going to go warn the town people that, hey, this island's sinking, and we'll drop the pie off to Mom while we're at it, and no one's really going to want to help Warabout. So, in classic fashion, we are going to be roped into doing the job. That'll be how we become a monster master. And of course, Mom thinks that we're silly for thinking the island is going to sink, but...
I don't blame her. I mean, why would you put a plug like that has like no use except for if you just wanted to sink the island?
That's a good question.
And that merchant that we tried to warn, he actually gets kind of upset when the island doesn't immediately sink, and he refuses to do any business with you until well after the post game.
Yeah, so Warabout here, we're going to report in, and he's going to give us this key and says, you're going to have to go find a replacement yourself. So he gives us the Oasis key, and it's like, oh yeah, also, make sure you take this one so you can get back home. And we're like, this might be actually kind of a big deal. We should probably go home and sleep on this, so. I'm just going to kind of confirm here that we're going on the journey, and this slime here, Slash, is going to join us and become our first monster. And very important, I'm going to talk to Dad on my way into the first world here, and he's going to give us a pork chop. Pork chops are pretty great, and monsters think they're pretty great too.
I agree.
So when I get into the first world, there's going to be a couple things I'm looking for. I'm going to start fighting some monsters, hoping for either a Cactoball or Spot Slime or both to join me. And I'm going to be looking for items, especially herbs, on the overworld. And here I am entering into the first world so we can close the worm name incentive. It's going to be a couple minutes before I need it, but we can close that now.
So Haktical, if you had a preference, which one would you want, the Spot Slime or the Cactoball?
The Spot Slime I tend to prefer because it joins you at a lower level. So monsters in this game have a level range at which they join you, but no matter what level they join you, they always start off with roughly the same stats. So lower level monsters are actually better because they will gain more levels and therefore get more stat increases. So the Spot Slime can join you at level 1 and actually become pretty strong in this world. But honestly, ideally, I'd like both of them, because there's a point where I will need 3 monsters alive, and if I get both, it really takes a lot of the decision-making pressure off of who to keep alive or when to heal, etc. So, Countess, do you want to maybe talk about the monster recruitment mechanics a little bit, like meets and chances to join and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so essentially, at each monster, there's a couple of different ranks of how likely a monster is to join you just at the end of the battle normally, but you can also throw meat at them to increase those chances. Only the last monster you kill in battle has a chance to stand up and join your party, but yeah, there's 4 levels of meat, beef jerky, pork chop, which is what we got from Dad at the beginning, then rib, and then sirloin. And each one gives like significantly more points toward recruitment than the previous one. There's also some minor things that can affect it, like herbs. If you heal your team, it actually makes the monsters less likely to join you, though you can also heal the monsters with herbs to make them a little more likely. It's about equal to a beef jerky. But those are all kind of negligible factors once you get later into the game.
Yeah, so I got my Cactoball, I got a monster here. I'm going to buy 7 herbs, 2 beef jerkies. I'm going to heal up my slime, and then I'm going to put the slime on defensive, and then save the game, and then I'm going to be going into this well. And in this well, I need to recruit a giant worm. So this is when I get this recruit is when I will need the name. Now there are spookies that can show up here. Worms can show up in pairs like this. And I'm hoping to use a pork chop and 2 beef jerkies. And it's going to be like a 40 to 50% chance to recruit it. Less if I end up having to heal somebody during the fight. And hopefully this goes pretty quickly. That crit is very helpful. But this can be anywhere from first try to earlier I had a disaster in the practice room that took me like 13 minutes to recruit. But normally this should take like, a couple minutes. Let's see if this one joins me. It did not. So got to reset to my save and go back in because I used my pork chop and my 2 beef jerkies to try to recruit him. And that's giving me the most chance I can. And so yeah, I'm going to be here for a couple minutes until I get a worm. I will pass it at this point over to Diener until my worm recruit.
Absolutely. Got plenty of donation comments coming in from Vincent McHale. I've got $6. I am the true dragon warrior. Lord Bob Bree says, always happy to see a Monsters game showing up and for a good cause, alongside his $10 donation. Thank you so much. And Purple Mario 920, hey Haktical and fun friends on the couch. Best of luck to you on the run. Let's name that worm Kev.
Yeah.
Thanks, PM. Any donation is appreciated.
$10 from our friend Error of Rudo. Good luck on the run, Hack. Don't mash B through the lamp recruit.
Thanks, Error. All right, so still fighting some worms here. See if we can get this one to join us.
And unfortunately, in this series, like when you kill monsters, you don't get any gold for it. You just get experience. So items in the early game are kind of at a premium, which is why he's got to reset every time.
Yeah, and that's going to be a theme throughout the run where I'm going to be looking for specific valuable items. Okay, I got the worm, so I need the worm name now.
Sure thing. One more quick refresh here.
Pretty confident it's Kev.
Our winning name is Kev, capital K-E-V.
All caps or just
It's on here, all caps.
all caps? K-E-V. There we go.
There we go.
Excellent. So now I can continue with the story. So the idea here is that we're looking for treasure in order to replug the hole in the tree. And so we're going to these different worlds, asking the leaders of this world if they have any treasure that we can have to bring back to plug the tree. And in order to get an audience with the king here, we're going to join this little performance group and put on a little show. And that's going to let us talk to the king. And he's going to say that, the people of this town, they don't really respect him like the previous king, and wants to know if we can go ask around for what's troubling the people and see if he can do something to try to, get some respect and become a good king for the people. So, and in return, if we can do that, we will be gifted their treasure of the title bell. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. So we're talking to the king, and then going to talk to the girl by the well out here, and she's going to tell us how the well is drying up, the one that we were just in recruiting the worm, that the well is drying up, and if the king could do something about it, that would be awesome. And the king's going to be like, yeah, I'll go right now. He's going to rush off there. And spoiler alert, the king is going to rely on us to help clear up the issue with the well.
But you mean, I thought this was a respectable king, He's obviously wanted to be as loved as his father, so he's going to take care of it all himself, isn't he?
Yeah, for sure. All himself. Mm-hmm. So in the meantime, I'm going to get some random encounters along the way, and I'm just going to fight through them. You may have noticed when I was running into some spookies in the well that I was running from them, but in general, running in this game is really unreliable. So the optimal strategy is typically to fight. I'm specifically here putting so there are tactics in this game in combat. You have offensive, mixed, and defensive, and mixed is typically like status effect kind of moves and charges. Offensive moves and defenses obviously defensive moves, but it will kind of depend a little bit on their personality of what moves they're using, and there's some complexity to it. But you can also intentionally command them to use certain moves. And monsters have a wild stat when you recruit them, so they will sometimes ignore you, like the worm did. But what's important to note is that by commanding the worm and then leaving him there, it puts him on use no skills, so he's not going to try to use Beast Cut and waste all of his MP and use the slower animation to do it. This fight's a little bit scary. These candles have blaze and can do quite a bit of damage, so 2 of them is not ideal. That critical hit definitely helps.
Getting lots of crits here.
Yeah, hopefully that keeps up throughout the run. If this Mad Candle tries to join me, I will actually... He did not, but sometimes the Mad Candles will try to join you, and if they do, I would actually replace the Cactoball with the Mad Candle, as it would speed up a couple of fights. But it's not super likely. I basically never have that happen in my runs.
Well, this would be a good time to see it.
Yeah. Let's have the thing that I, that I never practice. Nah, it'd be fine. A little bit of XP is good here. So we're going to get through this canal and find that there is a beavern blocking the canal with a dam, and that's why the water's all dried up. So I'm actually going to put the Cactoball onto defensive at the moment, because he'll die in 1 hit from where he's at. And the beavern built up power, so just want to make sure that my monsters don't get owned here. Let's actually put him on defensive. I'm going to back out and heal him. Slash should be fine here. This fight is pretty easy, but sometimes if he builds power a lot, my monsters don't have very much HP, so it can be a little bit of an issue. Beavern's got 98 HP, so he dies pretty quickly. He's building power again. So what I need to do here is heal the worm. Nope, never mind. I don't need to heal anybody, because
Nice.
Beavern's down.
Look, good fight.
Yep.
The Beavern himself isn't too scary. The real issue with the fight becomes herbs. The herbs that I found on the ground and that I bought with my shopping earlier is really all the healing I get in this world. And there's another boss that I still need to do in this world. So if you use too many herbs on this fight, it can put you at more of a risk for the next one. But I have plenty of herbs left, and this should be no problem. So here's where the king tells us that the title bell will be ours if we go find him at the castle. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're here for.
So the overworld actually has more than just herbs. Each world has different items that you can find on the ground, and as far as I know, it's just completely random.
Yeah, that's right. And we'll see cases where that becomes pretty significant.
Especially if you find something with some good money later in the game.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And in this world, actually, even you can rarely find a friend staff, which is an item that will use the twin hits ability on a monster in combat, doubling their attack power. So that would be excellent to find. I'm going to come in here and use the safety in. I probably should have put the worm on defensive on that last turn and just heal them with this in, but sometimes even if you put them on defensive, they'll decide that attacking is the right move. So I took the safe route and healed them. I don't have any backup money for revival, so if a monster that I need dies, it's really out of the way to get the money to revive them. But yeah, if we get a lucky friend staff, that would be excellent. But we'll be getting them at least one later, regardless. Other things can show up like meat or exit bells or warp wings, stuff like that. But so the king's going to bring us to the treasury to get the title bell, and we find that it's empty. It's been robbed. And so now the town goes on a mission to find the thieves of the treasure. And a couple of them have been captured. And so instead of following and looking for the thieves directly, we're going to come down here and talk to this one in the jail cell. And we're going to give him some beef jerky. And he's going to talk because, who doesn't like some beef jerky? So he's going to tell us, hey, you need to use this water call in order to get into our hideout. And so that's where we're going to head to now, is the hideout.
And you can see in the jail there, they'd actually also locked up the circus performers too, just in case they were in on it. So we gotta help out so that they can get freed.
Yeah, do we really care about the circus performers, though? I mean, they've done their job.
And not really. We're not gonna talk to them again.
It's a pretty quick overworld encounter. Just a spot slime. I can find some more healing items on this walk if I get lucky. Spot slime tries to join me now. A little too late for that, but no healing items. I didn't save. Normally I do a safety save before leaving town, and I'm pretty low on herbs, but 2 is usually enough to get through here. The only issue will be is if the worm gets hard targeted, so let's just hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, in this game, you can only save if you're in a town or at the key door. So you can't, even on the world map, or you can't save there, so.
Yeah, so Curse Lamp here has, of course he targets the worm right away. He's got 220 HP.
Ooh.
He can upper himself. His upper isn't like very good, but if he does it early, it definitely adds up throughout the fight. And ideally, I'd actually like the Cactoball to die off in this fight in order to spread the XP more onto the worm. In a really fast run, you'd actually want both the Cactoball and Slash to not make it, but Kev is getting focused down, and this is not exactly what you want to see. Kev is also pretty strong, though, so he's doing some pretty good damage. You can definitely, you definitely have the option of counting damage if you want to decide when you heal or who you heal. I could put Kev onto defensive and, turtle a little bit, but he is my main damage dealer on this fight, so he's good on offensive for now. I still got herbs, and this fight's moving right along.
It's alright, Slash is just lip sliming away from all the attacks.
And, yeah, this is the donation incentive earlier to make sure I don't press B, so this monster will offer to join me at the end of the battle, guaranteed. And if I say B, he will leave, and I really need him for a little while. So yeah, Curse Lamp, no problem. Unfortunately, everybody survived the fight, so Kev did not get a ton of XP, and is still level 9. So I mentioned earlier there's a monster breeding mechanic in this game, and one of the key requirements is to be level 10 in order to breed the monsters. So the worm is going to be part of that mechanic, and since he's still level 9, I need to make sure that the worm gets level 10 at some point. So the first fight in the next world in Pirate, the worm has a very good chance of dying, and if the worm dies before getting level 10, then I'll just need to manage that a little bit. In the meantime, here's our title bell.
You got the new plug for the Great Log.
Sure do.
We've already saved the whole town.
I know,
Right.
it's an easy game. Look at that.
Yeah, can you believe it was that easy?
It's great.
Oh,
Oh no.
no good.
I mean, what's the difference? Is it just not fluffy enough or furry enough to keep that hole?
I don't know, but Orbo thinks that there's something else in a pirate world, but he doesn't have the key to it, so we're gonna have to find the key. But before I do that, I'm actually gonna jump right back into Oasis. So when you beat a world, usually that there are a few map changes that happen. NPCs change, sometimes terrain changes, etc. And so we're going to jump back into Oasis to take advantage of that. And then additionally, whenever you get a treasure, like the Title Bell, it unlocks a new ability, kind of like an HM from Pokemon. So the Title Bell allows us to surf on water, which we'll definitely be using a few times, but in particular, it lets us come back into this canal and pick up some items here. And take a couple encounters along the way. Maybe if we're lucky... Go away, Spooky. Maybe if we're lucky, the worm will hit level 10 off some of them. Encounters here aren't really too valuable, but every now and then. So we're going to get a bookmark which is an item that lets you save anywhere once it's consumable. I pick up a wind staff, which I will immediately be selling, and an exit bell. Exit bell will warp you out of a dungeon back to the dungeon's entrance. And we'll be buying plenty of exit bells also. But get some stuff while we're here, and then I'm going to sell the wind staff. I'm going to buy a bunch of herbs. I'm going to buy some beef jerky because I'm going to need to do some more recruitment in a minute. And so 3 beef jerky. I buy 17 herbs and 1 warpling. You can carry 24 items, and it turns out doing math between whatever you have and 23 is not something most people are quick at, because when do you ever add up to 23? But I wanted to get to 23 and then have 1 spot left for the warpling.
They all want to join now.
They sure do. Now they know that my party is awesome, and they want to be part of the awesomeness.
Yeah, it's also throwing all sorts of herbs at you now.
Yeah. No friend staff, though. Nothing really good. This fight might be worth 4 or 5 XP. Let's see what we get off of this. 5 XP. Yeah, no level, though. I could opt to take extra encounters to try to get level 10, but it's really just not worth it. You can get some pretty low-value encounters. But we're going to talk to this Beavern over here, and he's going to think that we're really cool for beating the boss of this place, and he's just going to offer to join us. And he's a pretty good monster to have just for free. So now our team is the Curse Lamp, the Beavern, and the Worm. Actually just going to reorder them real quick to be in that order. Most of them won't be sticking with us for very long, but they'll be useful for a little while. And leaving the well, this Monster Master comes up and says that there's going to be a tournament for kids, for new Monster Masters. And they want us to join it. And the reward is going to be the Pirate Key, which is what we need.
Well, that's convenient.
So anyone who's ever played Dragon Quest Monsters 1 knows that kind of the core mechanic of that game was these tournaments where you basically let your monsters battle by themselves. You can't use items, you can't directly command them, you can only set tactics, and that was the main way of unlocking new areas. But in Monsters 2, this first tournament here is the only one that's required. So we've got a really strong team. I'm just going to be mashing fights this whole thing. So I will pass it back over to Diener until this tournament is over with.
Absolutely. Got some exciting donations coming in. $20 from our friend Big Fong Balls. Hello, Haktical. It is I, Big Fong Balls. Good to see you on stage, and I'm looking forward to racing Super Metroid with you, the boys, and of course the inevitable winner, Shadow Killer. Good luck and have fun, bud.
Thanks, Bick.
And speaking of which, $10 from Shadow Killer. Hey, Hack, good luck with the run. Good thing you didn't have any weird technical issues or anything. Just wanted to give a big shout out to all the DQ boys, HS, Cowie, Nat, Ash, PM hiding off screen, D on the mic, and I think I saw Ellie running around. I think most of y'all, I'll see most of y'all later this week. Of course, put this towards naming the bear some D. Oh, and Hack, get a haircut. All smiles.
Thanks, SK. Looking forward to seeing you.
And speaking of which, we've got Creative Ellie with a $10 donation. Good luck, Haktical. Happy to see love for Dragon Warrior monsters.
Always. Thanks, Ellie.
All of the Dragon Quest crew coming out. Appreciate it, everyone.
Yeah, we got an awesome showing here this year from the DQ crew, both people attending in person, lots of DQ runs. After this one, we have Dragon Quest Builders in a couple days. Definitely recommend people check that out, donate for the bid war that's going on for that run, and then later in the week, Dragon Quest V DS. Both going to be excellent runs. Always love to see some DQ.
Usually there's a lot of randomizers going on in the practice room, but with so much Dragon Quest representation here, I feel like there's going to be a lot more of those races going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited. Hey, so I've got a $10 donation from KFizzle4. I love asking this question during all the Dragon Warrior and Dragon Quest runs, so I'll ask again. What is everyone's favorite Dragon Quest monster? I always say Golem Family and Hackosaurus, personally.
I'm a big fan of the turtle monsters. I like the Turtle Lord or Tortragon, like those type monsters. They're my favorites.
Mine is Gigantes. Big old happy one eye.
Oh, Purple Mario's favorite.
See Gigantes in the Builders run. I'd pick Yeti.
Yeah. I wonder what your favorite monster
I think I know the answer to that one.
All right, so I got my key to pirate, and we're entering here, and here we're going to see the first and only RNG manipulation in the run. So we've been talking a little bit about overworld items, and the overworld items are spawned. There's a couple different ways that the overworld items are spawned, but they'll spawn in the world when you first leave the shrine here. And so by resetting the game and mashing into the game and doing a certain set of movement, I've already messed it up, so we'll see what happens. Nope. By doing a certain set of movement here, I can hope to get the right frame to get a friend staff, which would be an extremely useful item. It's like a 2-frame window. There's 4 frames that spawn the staff in a reasonable spot, but 2 of them are not really worth getting. That's an herb, so that's one of the ones that's not worth getting. I want to see either the friend staff right outside the shrine or nothing outside the shrine. I'm not the best at mashing in the world, so my reliability at this it's good, but it's not as good as some others. This should be fine though. Hopefully there will be a friend staff right outside the cave. And in this cave will be a monster that I'll be needing to fight, which is the hood squid, Squiz. And there's nothing here. That's rare. Okay, so we're trying this again. You guys want to talk about why we're recruiting the hood squid?
Because he's one funky dancer.
So the hood squid is he's pretty hard to beat right now, but once you recruit him, he's a pretty tanky monster. He's got pretty high attack power too, compared to anything else that you can recruit out here. He's also necessary for the plot for 2 reasons. You need a water type monster here in a minute to wake up somebody who's sleeping in a bar, and then you also need a monster that has a dance ability to go visit the mermaids in a bit, and both of those things, the hood squid meets both criteria because he's got the lure dance ability, which is also sometimes useful in battle too.
Yeah, so not really sure what's happening here with this manip. I'll give it a, there we go.
There we go.
First try
Excellent.
every time.
Yeah, it's no problem. And because it's actually the one by the shrine, it's even more convenient, so I can save with the front staff, and then if I have a trouble with Squiz, I can just reset and don't have to do the manipulation again. So that actually kind of works out. So normally it's like a few tiles to the right of this cave here, but it's all good.
The title bell makes this cave really fast getting to the hood squid.
Sure does. Unfortunately, I don't want to really see encounters here, because
Oh boy.
I can't really fight anything right now. I can technically take these fights, but I really want to make sure that the Curse Lamp does not get experience, because if the Curse Lamp gets a level, he'll learn the speed up ability, and I do not want him to use that. So I mentioned earlier that running in this game is very unreliable, and we are seeing that firsthand. But it's fine. I got to save after my manip, so we'll just reset and sail back there real quick. Dying there is pretty unlucky, but not terribly so.
And if you're wondering if he could do the manipulation again, he technically could, but he would have to leave the pirate world and come back into it to do it again, because the items on the map have already been determined by the time he saved.
Yep, yeah, the items are tied to your save file, so unless you regenerate them, nothing would happen. I made that mistake a couple times while I was working on routing ideas for this game. Was like, maybe I can manip 2 friend staffs.
Yeah. You can, but you gotta watch that whole warp animation 2 more times, which is like 20 or 30 more seconds.
All right, so we're going to put the Curse Lamp onto the mixed mode, which will let him use the upper ability to increase his defense. And, well, the worm got knocked out. That's not terribly surprising. It's sort of unfortunate that it happened that early. But, yeah, we're going to let the lamp spam upper until he can't really take damage anymore, and I'm just going to keep throwing herbs at whoever gets hit until the hood squid dies. That crit's very nice. It is a little unfortunate, because I mentioned before that this worm is only level 9, which means I will need to definitely revive the worm after the fight to get the extra experience that it needs. Not terribly unusual, just it's nice when it works out where you don't have to do that. So the hood squid here is 350 HP, and you can see that we're not really doing a ton of damage to him, but I did buy 17 herbs, I had a couple left, so I will make it through this fight without too much issue. The lamp's defense is high enough now that he's not taking a ton, and him stacking uppers on Beano now is actually pretty useful. So we'll put the lamp on charge, give him another heal. Hopefully I don't need to heal the lamp anymore. It doesn't really do that much damage, but he does tank for Beano a bit, so I will actually keep him alive kind of as long as I need to.
Yeah, you kind of want as much damage as you can right now without Kev helping out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the herbs get stretched further if he's hitting the tankier character.
And I was talking earlier about monsters having varying levels that they join you. The level the worm join is actually like pretty important for getting a good time. In Kobe, he can join you between level 4 and level 8, and the lower level worms end up in this situation more often where they're not level 10, but they gain so many more stats that they become a lot stronger. And if you get like a level 8 worm, it's really not contributing to these fights at all, so you don't really mind if they get knocked out. But this was, I don't remember exactly what level this worm was, but it was on the lower side. 5 maybe? I don't know. We're making it pretty far through this fight. Should be getting close. Excellent crit. I'm not going to heal the lamp anymore. I will keep Beano topped up. He's probably fine where he was, but running low on herbs, so definitely should be almost dead now. Hopefully this attack. There we go.
All right.
Nice.
So yeah, that guy is really difficult at this point in time, so the setup kind of needs to work out. And if you're asking why didn't I use the friend staff that I picked up on Squiz, you can definitely do that. And in fact, to go on like a PB attempt, you would want to do that. And the thing is that the friend staff has a 50% or higher chance of breaking when you use it. And there are other battles later that are more beneficial to have it. So for a no reset kind of run, it's better to just kind of hold on to it. But with that, we're replacing the curse lamp. That was really his only use, was for getting through this fight, and we now have Squiz with us. And we're going to take this walk. I'm going to revive the worm when I can, and then hit a couple of plot points and do some shopping, and take this fight. And in this fight, I'm looking for something in particular. You guys want to talk about the monsters I'm looking for here?
Yeah, so we need to actually recruit a couple of monsters for story progression. The ant there is required to get a key later on. And there's also going to be a gopher that we're going to need to help Dad, I believe it's Dad, dig a hole into the ground. So we're going to be looking to recruit. There's one right there, nice. You can find the gopher in the same area here or even a little bit further on, but those are the two that we need in this world.
Yeah, and with a beef jerky, they should be about a 95% chance to recruit. And 95% is not 100%. So I bought 3 beef jerkies, so I have a backup in case one fails. But
Wait, let me check the math on that. Yeah, no, you're right.
I've played the Joker games and the remakes. 95% really is not 100%.
if there's anything that speedrunning an RPG will teach you, is that no matter what the odds are, the bad results happen. So.
Yeah, when you miss a 95, like 5%, you know, it upsets you a little bit, but when you get a 5%, you're like, easy every time.
So if I only had 2 beef jerky and I failed to recruit, it wouldn't be a huge deal. I could still keep trying to fight the monsters and recruit them naturally, but it's more reliable to not have to do that. So here I'm going to buy an exit bell, 2 ribs, and 10 love water, which is all I can afford, and continue onward. So the ribs are just an upgraded meat. I will need one of those to use as meat and the other one for a side quest. I could have picked up more exit bells, but I can also buy more later, and buying fewer exit bells now, I didn't revive the worm.
Oops.
do that right now. I didn't get any encounters, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I do need to get that worm level 10. So often I replace the dead worm with the mad gopher, because normally the worm is already level 10. That's why I was kind of just thinking on that front. Not a huge deal. And yeah, so before I take some more encounters, I do need to recruit a gopher before I can move on, but I will do this little story piece here first. This is the dance guy, and basically the treasure here is on an island. The pirate's treasure is on an island, and it's surrounded by volcanic rocks. And the old guy tells us that there was a moon rock item that was used for the pirates to get to that island, but it was lost in the bottom of the sea, and maybe the mermaids would know where it is. We're going to come talk to the mermaid, and they're going to tell us that there's a ghost ship, which is where the moon rock now resides. That's where we're going to be going next, to the ghost ship. But first things first, let's get ourselves a gopher.
Yeah, that's where we needed the hood squids, because we needed to dance to impress the mermaid.
And you can actually come there before you wake up the old man in the pub, but the mermaids give you a tiny medal instead, and I'm not sure you can get that tiny medal after this point in the game. It's a pretty early thing that you can miss.
Probably should have just thrown the jerky on that turn, but that's okay. So hopefully this gopher will join us. There's that level 10.
Both at the same time? Yeah, nice.
Alright. Now we sail on to the ghost ship. In the meantime, I'm actually going to heal up Bino a little bit real quick. Bino's been taking some damage. You can take inns. Inns are pretty cheap and effective ways of healing, but it's usually a lot faster to heal with healing items outside of combat, or in combat even, than it is to take an inn. You gotta pay the money and listen to the jingle, and items are just faster. And we usually have enough money, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna fight this bone slave here. He casts Bang, which is, a little annoying, but not a huge deal. Kevin's defending himself for some reason, which is strange, but I don't know why he was on defensive. I was pretty sure he was attacking, but that's okay. So goodbye the bone slave. You can use the Squiz has a lore dance ability, which he can use in combat, where he will make enemies dance and lose their turns. And you can actually use that on that monster, and it makes it a little bit safer, but it's also just slower. I'm going to sort my inventory and use my herbs here. Just make sure everyone's good to go. And then I'm going to use the repellent I just picked up to make monster encounters stop. So the way repellents work, it's like a Pokemon repel, where it just stops all random encounters, no matter what your level is, for a certain number of steps. Which means that I can go for quite a while without seeing encounters, but it will wear off eventually.
It'd be nice if some later Dragon Quest games did that too.
Yeah. So here's the use of the Friend Staff. The Friend Staff did not break, so that is excellent. I will have a further use of that later.
And this is another fight where if you want to be safer, you can have Squiz use Lure Dance, or if you want to be aggressive, you can use the Friend Staff on him, and he'll clean up the Bone Slaves pretty quickly.
Yeah. Doesn't matter now if the worm dies in this fight, since he got his level 10. That's all he needs, so any chip damage he can deal here is fine.
Yeah, very little chip damage.
Yeah. Squiz is the real damage dealer here. And this fight's pretty safe. The only scary thing about this fight is Cap Dead does have a priority move, which will go... When you use an item in combat in this game, the item is the first thing that happens before any moves happen. And your monsters still act according to their tactics. So you can item and attack in the same turn, obviously. I've been doing it the whole run. And this monster actually has a priority move, which goes off before an item usage. So if Squiz gets really low, you can run into a case where he does a priority move before your healing goes off. So you gotta be a little bit careful, but It's very rare, and I've never had him actually take out Squiz from it. It's either been a low roll or he's hit somebody else. But it is a possibility. But Cap Dead is down easy peasy. And just as importantly, like I said, I still have the friend staff for later use, so pay attention to that. But on the ship here, we find a moon rock, and it'll automatically sail us back to town. Here to this town, I'm going to actually buy a bookmark. I mentioned those let you save anywhere. I'm going to buy one of those to kind of carry around with us for most of the run, for some safety later. Sell one of the items I picked up. Oops. And also buy a few more love water. Going up to 19 items in my inventory. And that'll cover for... I might be off by one if I have to use any in this world still. But that'll cover for items that I'm picking up and selling to kind of optimize my inventory space. It's not the fastest way of doing things for a world record attempt, but it's the best for this route that I'm using. We're going into this tower here to place the moon rock, and then that'll get us access to the volcanic island. So I will pass it over to Diener for a minute or two until I'm on that island. Oops.
Certainly. Tavan donates $100 with a message, glad to be able to watch more of RPG Limit Break this year. French Toast has $25 donation. Hey, did you know if you subscribe to RPG Limit Break, you can get your own slime emote, just like in the game? It's true.
Dragon Quest slimes are excellent.
Absolutely. There's all kinds of exciting emotes that you can get, made by a lot of our talented community artists. LLK donates $10. I remember when I played the very first Dragon Warrior as a kid. The Dragon Lord looked so intense at the time. I mean, he was kind of clipping into the UI a little bit. It doesn't get more impressive than that.
Absolutely.
I love the old NES Dragon Warrior bosses just kind of taking over the menu on you.
Yeah, and even some of the later ones, like, I think Mirajus in DQ5 does a similar thing. There's a couple enemies that kind of overlap stuff. So yeah, we're going to head on to this volcanic island now, and I'm going to be doing the last required monster recruitment in here. Prince Kamea followed us here, so he's looking for treasure still. He wants to be the one to rescue Great Log. Ooh, an item.
Ooh, potion?
Love water. I will use that immediately because I do not want that in my inventory because, as I mentioned, I've got the exact number of items that I need. So we'll just get it out of there and use it as a healing item. So I'm actually going to use one of the bookmarks that I picked up in here because I need to use a rib that I bought in order to recruit a Dark Eye monster. And I need to make sure that I both don't fail and that I don't die trying to recruit it, because the enemies here are actually a little bit scary. And in particular, I need to have a female Dark Eye. So in order to breed monsters, you need to have one male and one female, and I'm going to be breeding with Bino, who is guaranteed to be a male, which, failing to run here. No big deal. We'll actually have to use another love water, though. So I need a female Dark Eye. There are 4 different formations, I think, that Dark Eye can show up in here, and 3 of them have female Dark Eye available, but it doesn't show up in every fight, obviously. So I just need to kind of pay attention to get the right one. I'm just going to reset that encounter. Sometimes if you fail the run, it's quicker to reset. Those monsters have pretty slow attack animations, and I don't really want to use a bunch of healing and watch some animations and fail the run multiple times, so better just reset and get another shot at it, get my love water back.
Yeah, they've got a water barrier attack that increases their resistance or something, and it's very slow. Might see it here.
Yeah, one of them's not too bad.
Yeah.
When there's 3 and you're failing to run 3 times and they're just spamming that water barrier,
Yeah, that's the thing. Just because you go through the whole turn, that doesn't mean you're going to successfully run next time.
I'm a little bit of trouble getting the Dark Eye to show up, but I typically have pretty bad luck in this section, so I'm not terribly surprised. This is the recruit that I have often the most trouble with. And it's definitely a big reset point for getting a great time. This is perfect. Single Dark Eye is what you want to see. Dark Eye also casts Radiant, which makes you miss your attacks occasionally. So it's like that. So it's pretty annoying when they show up in groups of 3, and you have to manually target down 2 of them before you can recruit the one that you need. And meanwhile, you're missing like half your attacks.
You know, you mentioned earlier that there's 2 versions of this game. You can also play as the sister
wow.
instead, and that changes the random encounters in a lot of the areas, like Pokemon Red versus Blue. And if you're playing Terra in here, you also have to deal with Slabbits, which are like slime frogs, and they have a dodge ability. So in addition to the Dark Eyes blinding you, the Slabbits are also hard to hit on their own. Also, that is a very rare chance that it does not join you.
And I'm pretty sure that's another 95% chance of recruitment.
Yeah,
And
so with a rib.
and I did not succeed. So there's our 5% that we were talking about earlier. This one's good too, though. I just need to kill the evil wand first. Countess mentioned earlier that the only monster you can recruit is the last one you defeat in battle, so you just need to make sure that the monsters, if left to their own devices, don't focus down the Dark Eye first. Hopefully this one will join us, and we can get out of Pirate. So after this recruitment, we're just going to be walking through this cave. There'll be a couple of short scenes, and that'll be the end of Pirate. And as a reminder, when we leave Pirate, that's when we'll close the donation incentive for the bear name. So you've got like 2 minutes to get any last-minute donations in for that one.
Well, if you keep missing, maybe.
Maybe 2.5.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
There we go. Yeah, you don't find out what the gender is until after you recruit in this game, so.
Yeah, but in it's rougher in Dragon Quest Monsters 1 because the gender isn't even determined until you recruit it and say yes and look at it. But in this game, you can kind of tell from the formation you're looking at which ones are going to be male and female if you've taken notes on every single possible formation that can show up.
Yeah, and fortunately, most of the breeding that we do in this run is with NPC Monster Masters, and they always have whatever you need, so there's no restrictions there.
Yeah, that's actually the Dark Eyes, the only monster who actually matters.
Yeah.
We get a handful of comedy scenes here with our prince.
Yeah, he's going to push us out of the way, and then...
And he's on his own quest to try to help Warbo find a plug for the naval, and he's trying to race us to the bottom of this cave, but he's getting really terrible luck here. He's setting off all the traps.
He's not as good of a speedrunner as we are.
Yeah. You knew that boulder was there, so you avoided it, but he set it off first.
Yep. So Squiz took a death to the lava. It's not really a problem. We're not fighting anything else here because we have another repellent. We walked over the lava to grab 2 interesting items, a war ring, which I will be giving to the bear monster, which gives more HP every time you level up, and also a World Dew, which is a consumable item that fully heals the entire party. And I will be using many of them in this run, but I hope to save that one for as close to the end of the game as possible.
This is just kind of a weird cave that there's no boss at the end of it, just this cutscene, and then you get warped out immediately.
Yep, so we get the harm mirror. We can close off the bear name incentive now. And this will definitely plug the hole, right?
A plate, yeah. You know, just put your platter on the hole.
Do you think a plate would have a better or worse chance of plugging the hole than a bell?
Maybe if you turn it so it's reflective side down, it might reflect whatever is coming out of the hole.
That's a good call.
Because
there's like little clouds coming out of it, so.
I know Highspirits was doing the puns, but Harm Mirror is a pun as well, and I kind of like that one. I think in Dragon Quest II Game Boy Color, they called the Mirror of Ra the Lar Mirror, so they changed it to Harm Mirror in this one because it destroys boulders.
Yeah.
Alright, so picking up my gopher and my army ant that I recruited in the last town, and I'm going to be turning the gopher into Dad here. He wants some help digging, so the gopher's got a shovel. He's pretty good at that. The gopher's actually going to immediately dig up a tiny metal for us, which I'll just be getting rid of, but...
Not collecting tiny metals? Come on. Think of all the monster eggs you could get.
It's true. Yeah, not in this run, unfortunately, or fortunately. And then I'm going to be coming over here to Mom's house, and Mom's got like some little side quests for us. So there's a Drax slime here that's sunburned, and she wants a love water to cure it. And then she's going to have a series of errands. She's going to want a potion, a rib, and then a sirloin. And she gives us more money than the items cost. So she's like, hey, I'm going to give you $400, go buy a rib for me. And we keep the change. And the last thing here is she wants a sirloin, which she gives us $1,200 for. And we're just going to take the money and run. We're not going to get her a sirloin.
Wow.
Sorry she can't get her nice dinner with Dad, but the money's more important.
Wow.
You're grounded.
Yeah,
I know.
it's fine. I'm grounded, but I'll save the world.
Yeah.
You actually don't get anything for completing the quest. There's really no reason to do it, and I'm not going to be getting any sirloin in the run.
I mean, how hard are you really trying to save the world? You're putting a plate in a hole.
That's true. And we're going to give this merchant guy the army ant, and he will find the ice key, which will get us into the next world. So I'm going to come down here and breed my worm with the armorpede for this NPC. So Kev. And this will get us a giant worm +1. And there's a couple... the game doesn't explain this very well. So there's a library that explains sort of some of the mechanics and how things work in the game. But the idea here is that when you breed a monster, they get some of their stats from each of the parents, and they also get the move sets from their parents. And they get reset to level 1. So at level 1, they become actually, like, they're pretty strong at level 1 because they start with stats their parents have gained through leveling. And they get to regain all of their early levels again, which are really quick. So you can boost them up pretty quickly. And then the plus number allows them to go to a higher level cap and gain more stats in the end. So we're going to start off with breeding the giant worm, and we'll name him Kev again. And then after that, I will need the name for the bear. So if you want to refresh that for me. All right, we have Kev number 2. And we're going to breed Beano with our dark eye.
The grizzly bear.
Grizzly. All right, can I get the name for the grizzly, please?
Yes, it was a close bid war. The winning name for the grizzly bear is Honey.
Honey, excellent.
Honey.
That's a capital H, right? And the rest is lowercase?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, normally most monster fusions take place right here, but there is occasionally throughout the game a trainer that shows up that's where we use the worm the first time. And they just say, hey, I have this monster, you got something you want to breed with? And you know, some of them are really good late game, but they can be really useful.
Do you guys mind if I read one more comment here?
Go for it.
$50 donation from Sparkover. Hello, RPG Limit Break friends. It's bear time, I hope.
It's bear time. Hey, Sparko.
Hey, Sparko.
Yeah, thanks.
The entire rest of this run will be bear time. So.
Yeah, this grizzly bear is very...
I got a preview. The bear is vicious.
Yeah, it's broken for how early you can get it.
You can actually recruit bears in this world, but they join you at a pretty high level, so they're... Oh, got a potion. Nice.
Yeah, they actually join after their stats start to drop off. Like, the attack growth that this bear has is the highest attack growth of any monster until, like, level 25 or 26 before it drops off.
I'm going to do a shop here and get 4 exit bells, 5 warp staffs. I have an extra item somewhere. It's the beef jerky.
Told you didn't need it.
Actually, that's got me second guessing myself. Oh, it's the potion I just picked up. But the beef jerky is easy to get rid of, so.
So this world has the best music, right?
Yeah, this world is pretty great. So I picked up log twigs, which let you move the shrine to wherever you use the item. And that'll be useful because I also bought some warp staffs, which let you warp back to the shrine. So you can kind of move the shrine and then warp back to it later. And yeah, do you want to talk about what the story of this world is here? What the quest that we're being given right now is?
Sure. We're talking to the spirit in the spring here, who's the goddess Rubis, and she's going to tell us that, you know, there's a lot of war going on in this world, and we're going to find out that monsters are kind of manipulating all 3 of the kingdoms that are here, and we just got to kind of investigate them one by one and figure out what's going on and help them out. So the first one we're going to go to down here, the countries of Norden and Weston are both investigating this cave because they think there's a bunch of gold in there, and they're kind of fighting over it and don't even really have time to dig in there because they're too busy fighting. So we're gonna sneak past them and look for the gold.
Yeah, so I'm trying to force an encounter here in this particular area. Oh boy.
Go.
So characters are level 1 right now, so Squiz is the only one really doing damage, and I really just hope that they don't focus down the other monsters or Squiz. I did do a safety save before taking this encounter, so it's not too big of a deal if anything bad happens, but this is a little scary where 2 people need healing, because Kev was deciding that despite being on defensive, he was going to attack. So, no big deal. You just reset to the save and try it again. The level 1 monsters at this point don't really contribute a lot of damage to the fight, especially since I have the friend staff available. So there's really no reason to have them, take extra turns doing actions, extra animations, and putting themselves more at risk and needing more healing. Squiz with the friend staff is plenty to take out those fights, but you generally hope here for a fight with only 1 monster or 2 monsters, and sadly the Yetis were victorious this time. Countess would be thrilled.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for that worm because you just see the bear with his arms up. Looks like he's just chasing after the worm the entire time.
The overworld sprites in this game are really great, and the bear is like a perfect example of it. Oh well, I kept the front staff this time, so.
All right.
That
Kind of a miscellaneous comment that you may have noticed this low encounter rate in this world. I don't know if this is intentional or not. I don't think it is, but all of the tiles in this world are like the lowest threat chance. So it's like sailing on the water in all the other worlds. You can go really far without getting an overworld fight.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit earlier about encounters. So this game uses a depletion system. So whenever you enter an encounter, the game generates a depletion value, and that's how many steps you get effectively until your next encounter. And different tiles deplete that depletion by a different amount. So, for example, forest is more than regular land, and mountains are more than forest. And as Countess just said, the exception is this world where everything is one depletion. The worst areas are usually 4 depletion, like inside caves and dungeons. And so you get more encounters there. There are a couple of weird corner cases where if you take a staircase or pick up an item on the same tile that you would get an encounter, it actually resets the depletion without giving you that encounter. But there's no way to, predict what that is because the depletion is a random value. So sometimes you can end up with just really low encounter rate and don't necessarily know why. But look at the bear stats here as we're leveling up. He's getting 12 attack, 11 attack. He got like 27 attack of flat or something. Like, this gets insane stats really early.
Yeah. And Ice Bolt.
And Ice Bolt, yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I have to resort my inventory, but...
Whenever I play, he sure loves using that Ice Bolt.
Yeah, so I'm going to very specifically in the next fight put him on command so he will use no skills and not use Ice Bolt. Because it does like 30 damage and it hits every monster. It can occasionally be useful. I'll pick up this gold, sure. 300.
That's worth it.
Single mummy, excellent. Oh, he's still on defensive. That's okay.
Well, he's not using Ice Bolt.
He's not using Ice Bolt. There we go. And from now on, it's okay if Squiz gets knocked out. He's not really going to be useful anymore. Despite his heroic efforts up to this point, he has been immediately outclassed by this grizzly bear. So we're going to make our way through this cave and figure out what's got the 2 towns fighting with each other.
I do appreciate all of the donations for naming Honey, but as the DQ Dragon Quest V runner, Honey has a different meaning for us. Purple Mario will showcase that Friday night, Saturday morning, how much we love Honey, and she's going to use the spells that we really, really want her to use at the right time.
Totally.
At the end of this dungeon here, I get a little battle with a boss bomb crag. I'm actually going to heal myself up. At least the bear before starting this, since I have the friend staff available, I am going to use it.
Ooh. Grizzly bear gonna go growl.
So let's see how much the bear hits for. Friend staff broke, that's alright. Kev hits for 20, Squiz hits for 15, bear hits for 120. So that's pretty good. The bomb crag here can crit you, which is pretty scary. He throws rocks a lot, which the bear is immune to. And but the worm takes decent damage from it. I'm actually going to put the worm on defensive. He doesn't really need to contribute damage with Honey doing this much. Bomb crag's building up power, and dead. So that went pretty much as nicely as can be. And I'm at good HP, I've got 2 love water left, so I'm going to be immediately going into another boss fight after this, and I have the option of shopping if I'm low on healing items before the boss fight, but with good HP and 2 love water, I am in good condition to just jump right into it.
So after the bomb crag exploded there, a little bit of gold dust fell off from the ceiling, and then the soldiers realized, wait, this is all that's in here? What have we been fighting over this whole time?
Yeah.
So we gotta go report this back to the king now.
So we're going to use our warp staffs to our return point that we set earlier. Very useful.
Yeah, it seems a little redundant when you're playing this casually that there's this warp staff that takes you to the shrine or the warp wing that takes you all the way to Warabow. But they're very similar items, but the speedrun routing gets pretty cool using the log twig to move around the shrine.
Yeah, exactly. So we report this to the question, and he says, "You must just be a spy," and throws us in jail. And we find Kamea down here, and the king?
Mark. If you inspect the wrong wall here, Kamea will still slam into it and get
Yeah.
hurt. It's kind of funny just to do that over and over.
Yeah, it is. My first time playing, or not my first time playing, but like I remember when I first started learning the run, I kind of did like a blindish race of it, and I didn't see the different tile. I just like checked everyone, and Kamea just kept smashing his face into him.
But yeah, this one you're supposed to talk to the false king several times until he slips up. And that's how you find the, I like to call it Silver Baboon. Because I like the classic name.
It's my good friend AG Devil.
AG Devil.
Yeah, we'd like to talk about what does AG Devil actually mean, and you know, it's always a good topic for chat during these fights. You know, we get some good ones like the Agricultural Devil or the Attorney General Devil. You know, we've had some pretty.
Oh, I really like that one.
Yeah, had some pretty good suggestions.
Yeah, they were pretty limited on their character limits in the Game Boy Color games, and you can also see it a little bit in Dragon Warrior 7 on PS1. But so there's a lot of monsters and item names. Like even that harm mirror I was talking about earlier, in Japanese, they can fit all of the words Mirror of Destruction in the Japanese characters, but they're very limited in Game Boy Color for English.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously the actual thing is it's the Silver Devil, AG being the periodic sign for silver. All right, be sure to revive Squiz here. So even though Squiz isn't really useful anymore, I do need 3 monsters for an upcoming event, so I do need to bring Squiz back to life. And I'm going to use my last healing item and then refill my healing items to max. So we'll use that on the bear. And we'll buy 12 love water. And then we're going to move on. And we're going to go back through that cave that was previously blocked off. Oops. And then we're going to head to the town of Westaria. And the idea there is that we're going to get there and find that there's a contest going on to try to entertain the queen. And she's not really laughing, and she doesn't really enjoy anything anymore, and she's been, you know, there's something weird going on with her. And so we are tasked with restoring the queen to her normal self. But first we get to hoop dance again, and that's always cool.
Yeah, they didn't animate that just to use it once.
And it's quite impressive because the bear jumps through the hoop too.
earlier in the practice room, I also recruited a Yeti just for Cowness, and seeing the Yeti jump through the hoop was also pretty entertaining.
Yeti doesn't have fire resistance, just ice.
All right, so
Careful.
very important there. Our worm Kev just hit level 17, which is a really key point for the worm, because the worm learns the twin hits ability. So what I've been doing with the friend staff, you can just do that with the spell now. So I don't actually care that the friend staff has finally broken. I think it broke. Pretty sure it broke in the bomb crag, because I can just cast the spell now. So that's going to be the main strategy for most of the rest of the run is to power up the bear with twin hits and then let the bear smash things. And there's other things the worm can do besides just twin hits. That's not the entirety of it, but that is the core of the strategy. So here's our hoop dance. And there's nothing. So she used to be full of laughter, and somebody came to the castle, and now she hasn't been herself, so... We find that, I'm actually going to safety save here, just in case. We actually find that her soul has been removed, and she is being controlled. So we have to go reclaim her soul from this forest over here. There's some people that are talking about, like I don't remember if it was like a haunted forest or how they described it, but... That's where we're going. And this is actually a place where there's a notable difference between Kobe and Terra is the monsters that show up on this walk, especially inside the forest itself. I'm finding a lot of gold pickups on the overworld. That's really nice.
Cursed horse.
Inside this forest, in Terra, you can find Mudrons, which know the beat ability and can, like, insta-kill you. But they don't show up in this version, so it's a lot friendlier.
Yeah, your team doesn't have very good resistance to that, and it's just an instant kill, like you said.
But this was a really nice forest to begin with. I'm going to use one more Love Water. I just need to... I'm pretty sure I was good, but I need to make sure my inventory is not full before I talk to her, because her soul comes back into our inventory. And if you have a full inventory, or you say no to her, or whatever, the soul disappears, and you have to leave the forest and walk all the way back through it. So I just need to make sure not to do that. And then we get to go return that to her body. These orcs are another fun monster. These orcs know Vivify, so they can revive their friends. It's actually, like, probably a better idea for me to focus down the orc rather than using AI attacks, but with only 2 monsters, it's not a big deal. If there were 3, you can show up with 2 orcs. And then you kind of have to just, like, split your damage and take them out first, and it's pretty annoying monster formation. So we're going to sneak up here into the Queen's bedroom. I'm actually also going to reorder and put Squiz in the front, because I wanted him to not survive. And I'll use a Love Water on Kev real quick, just to make sure he's topped up. And we're going to return the Unisoul to her. And find out that this puppeter that has been controlling her all along is...
been pulling the strings.
Yeah, exactly. So this puppeter should die in 2 turns. Alternatively, he will confuse the bear, and then the bear will start destroying my own party.
Then you will die in 2 turns, yeah.
Especially after twin hits.
Yeah, I have no way of curing confusion, so normally if that happens, the bear kills off the rest of my party, but the bear will eventually get knocked out of confusion by a physical attack. But thankfully that didn't happen. Nice quick puppeter, no problems. And yeah, so the Queen here says that the Queen of Estria has also been having some issues, and we should go help her like we just helped this Queen. So that's where we're going to go. And do a little safety save here. There are a number of encounters along the way, and some of them are pretty dangerous. Should be fine, but, you know, you never know. And the idea is that I'm going to be... I already know what the Queen needs, so she's locked in eternal sleep, effectively. And there's an herb that can cure it. So I'm going to go to the mountain, grab the herb that can cure the sleep, and then go drop it off.
Ooh,
I always
staff.
check this, and it's a misstaff, which is okay. It's some money.
Yeah.
Ignore that warpling that's there. And yeah, so I'm going to get the sleep herb, and then I'm going to be going to wake her up. So while I walk through this mountain here, there's another staff. I will pass it over to Diener for a couple minutes.
Sure thing. Let's see. $50 donation from Miria with no comment. Thank you so much, Miria. A $50 donation from Beowulf. This donation is in honor of our friend Mighty Blue, who passed recently.
Sorry to hear that.
Gandalf1012 donates $101. Here's to another year of RPG Limit Break and Nami. Thank you so much for that.
So I'm going to need to make sure that my inventory is starting to get clogged with sellable items. I've picked up a ton of overworld gold. I've gotten 2 staffs. Like, this is pretty awesome. These stubbirds can twin hits themselves, as you see there, and it's fine when there's just one, but sometimes you get 3 of them and they ambush you and all buff up their attack and then start decimating you. But yeah, I've been getting a lot of money this run, so in the final world, there's going to be a couple shopping trips that I do, and it's going to really depend on how much money I get, how many healing items I can buy for the end of the game. And there are a couple backups that I can do to ensure safety. They do cost a little bit of time, though, so the more items that I pick up now, kind of just the smoother everything's going to go later. And I'm in really good shape right now, so that is a good relief.
There's my least favorite Dragon Quest monster, the land owl. Just copy-pasted an owl's face onto the bear.
Now I'm never going to unsee that.
I mean, you could say it's creative, maybe.
Sure. Let's go with that. That's
I mean, like, I'm a part of the Dragon Warrior randomizer community, and we love sticking 2 monsters together and having people actually make sprites for it.
That's true. All right, so let's sell this junk that I've got. Mistaff, sell.
Everyone loves the Drogon Lord.
Windstaff. No one loves the Drogon Lord.
I had to get a Drogon Lord out there for all my buddies.
That's excellent.
I love how every time there's 2 guards, you got to talk to the left one.
Yeah.
It throws me off because in Dragon Warrior 4, it's always the one on the right.
All right, so this she's going to bring us to the queen here, and we're going to use the sleep herb and wake her up. And surprise, somebody's been cursing her into sleep, and it's this goat horn. Oops, I said no.
He very politely just lets you leave if you don't want to fight him right now.
Yeah. And this guy's got 850 HP, and he's got some AoE abilities. He's not really scary. I'm going to try to spell him to stop his AoE magic. Got outsped and got hit by it anyway. But it's fine. You know, we've got a bear that's doing 225 damage a hit, so 850 HP goes by pretty quickly. Should die this turn. There we go. And that is not the last battle of ice, despite that it might seem like it. But this is the 3rd kingdom that we have restored peace to. It's kind of a recurring theme in DQ, is like the concept of restoring peace to various areas. This game does a really good job of having like very classically DQ style plot points. In fact, I'm notoriously bad at RPG lore for games that I speedrun, and I very much frequently get confused with like specific plot details of Monsters 2 with other DQ games, because it really does kind of borrow a lot of ideas from other DQ games, which I think is like really cool.
Yeah, Dragon Quest series has always been very like taking a template and just not messing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just making small tweaks here and there, improving upon things, maybe. But it's always it's very easy to get into one thing because another thing will follow the kind of similarity.
This guy also is nice and lets you leave if you accidentally say no, like I just did.
I think all 4 of the boss fights in here, maybe not Bombcrag, but the ones in the castles all just let you leave by the time you realize it's a boss fight.
I don't think the Silver Devil does, but I could be
Oh,
wrong.
you could leave before talking to the kings.
Yeah.
And they're still fighting each other.
So yeah, this goat horn here is actually a different goat horn than the one I just fought. This guy's only got 450 HP, so he is going to take nothing. And the two Archdemons, like Archdemon, you normally see them in DQ and you start being terrified. They've got
yeah.
all these Explodet and other strong magic, and the ones here are kind of just a pushover.
Bear don't like magic. Bear take care of them. Honey don't like magic. So yeah, a plate didn't work, so obviously a shield will, right? Because it's, you know, a curved plate.
And it's not just any shield, right? This is the shield from the goddess Rubis. Like, it's the sky shield. It's gotta be strong enough.
Yeah, like the convex shape, just it, you know, makes it more resistant to getting knocked out of the hole.
Yeah. So let's get back to Warabo and let's try it out. Let's see what happens here. Toss the shield onto the hole. This will certainly be good enough. No.
Well, try flipping it over. You put
Yeah.
the curved side up.
They're kids, okay? They haven't taken physics yet. Anyway.
Maybe flip it over and then have Warabo sit on it.
Yeah, but I think that still is a problem because he's stuck in the hole.
I just have them like jump up and down and like knock it further in, like make sure it's nice and sturdy. But anyway,
Oops, it fell through the hole.
we're told there's some more treasure in the Land of Sky. So we go up towards the king, and somebody says, "Hey, have you seen Prince Kamea?" And we're like, "Yeah, he's been hanging out in these other worlds." So the king gives us a sky key to go find Prince Kamea, who's apparently gone missing. And we're gonna pick up the Drac scale and then do the final round of monster breeding.
Oh, I'm sure the prince is just stuck in a trap somewhere and underneath the king's castle, just waiting to be found again.
Maybe he found another world with a hole in it, and he's sitting in that hole to plug it up.
He loves holes so much, why isn't he plugging the hole right now?
So we're gonna breed the worm here with a spiky boy from this monster, and this is gonna result in an Armorpede. And an Armorpede's kind of just like a better worm. He's got a lot of defense. He's gonna learn obviously all the worm's abilities because of the way the breeding mechanic works, and it's gonna be pretty fast, and it's just, you know, a really good monster to have. Really good upgrade.
Just a much tankier worm.
Yep. And we will breed the grizzly bear with a wild ape down here. And that is going to get us, believe it or not, a better bear. So
the way the results of breeding work in this game is if you like for the basic monsters, if you breed any combination of one monster family with another, you'll get some other monster that's kind of a mix of those two themes. But if you mix two of the same family, you generally get the same monster back, except in certain conditions, like if you breed two slimes together, you might get a king slime.
yeah, I like comparing it a lot to, I mentioned earlier, to SMT, where monsters have families, and like there's kind of a matrix for which monster families you breed together, what the results are going to be, and then there's like specialty combinations and all of that. You lose the parents. You know, there's no like monster compendium. You can't get the parents back, but it's relatively comparable to those kinds of fusion mechanics.
I mean, you can get the parents back in a lot of cases. Just go to the world and recruit them.
Well, yeah, but if you like bred something into it, then
Yeah.
you can end up making mistakes with your breeding combinations.
Yeah. Generally, the best way in this game to get stronger monsters is to fuse, is to breed. Because you know the plus is the big thing. Like if you're reaching higher level cap, the pluses generally just give better stats.
All right, so we now have our upgraded Kev, the Armorpede. And we're going to get our upgraded Honey the Bear.
The honey bear.
The Honey Bear. All right, and I got a couple accessories to hand over. I picked up a Drac Scale, which will give the Armorpede even more defense. And then I'm going to give the War Ring back to the new and improved bear for even more HP.
And the poor squid, just sitting there.
Yeah, Squiz doesn't really get any love at this point in the game, but
We don't need 3 monsters anymore.
nope. But we are going to jump into Sky. And similarly, our monsters are all at level 1, so the first encounter can be a little bit dangerous, but because of the way that the level 1 stats work after breeding, Armorpede and Kev and Honey are both very much strong enough to take on monsters on their own, so they don't need to be on defensive or anything. And a single monster here, a single Fang Slime, is like a perfect first encounter.
I mean, yeah, you look, there's 86 health on Armor Pede, 91 on the bear at level 1.
Yeah, and Armor Pede was taking 1 damage per hit from that.
Yeah.
So.
That's just the power of breeding right there. That's how you can just make everything so strong.
Exactly. So there's, we want Squiz to die pretty much as soon as possible. Squiz doesn't need any XP in here. And there are a couple thresholds we need to hit with Kev in order to learn abilities. And in particular, we're looking for level 15 for Evil Slash, and then level 17 for Twin Hits. Those are kind of the 2 key points, but level 15 for Evil Slash is the immediate requirement, and we'll see why shortly. But I'm going to be going into this first town, and what we're going to notice about this town is that all the towns here are actually monster towns. They're not humans. And that'll be important. So if you go to the left, there's actually like a bridge that's being guarded by a monster, and he won't let you pass.
No humans allowed.
Yeah. So we're going to come into this tower. This tower requires having 3 monsters with no wild stat. So I talked about it a little bit earlier how monsters can ignore you if they have a high wild stat, but whenever you breed a monster, they start with 0 wild, and monsters that voluntarily join you, like Squiz, also don't have a wild stat. So this team just kind of cruises right on through. And I'm finding lots of single enemy formations here, which is good in that they're quick formations, but I do need them to start taking out Squiz anytime now. And while doing these level ups, the next time I get level ups, I'm going to start learning a lot of abilities on Armor Pede. And most of them are just going to be discarded. I'm not going to actually take them. You can only have 8 abilities learned at a time. But I do need to make sure that I take the 2 aforementioned abilities.
Yeah, the skills in this game, they have a lot of different requirements. Like, there's the level requirement on all of them, but then they also all have different stats. Like, offensive moves might have an attack requirement, spells might have an intelligence and MP requirement. And playing this game casually, you very much notice that you learn a lot of skills at level 14. So.
Ice Bolt.
I mentioned earlier that the bear likes to use Ice Bolt, or Highspirits mentioned that the bear likes to use Ice Bolt.
Bear likes Ice Bolt.
And there it is. I didn't put him on use no skills early enough. So I don't want either of those skills. Here's 15. We'll get rid of Slime Blow. Don't need Beat. And the next level he'll learn Twin Hits, so I need to make sure I learn that too. The bear doesn't really have any issues with skills. At some point, level 21 I think it is, he'll learn Rain Slash, and I'll replace Ice Bolt with Rain Slash, but that's not even super required. But getting rid of Ice Bolt was nice. So at the top of this tower here, this bird is going to fly away with this treasure chest, and we're up here because we're looking for the Orb of Light, which is in that chest. But the game doesn't actually need us to get the Orb of Light, so we're just going to kind of ignore it. And in the meantime, we come over here to this grave, and there's a ghost here of a sage, and they are going to give us the Change Staff, because we said that we're going to help recover the items, and that Change Staff will let us turn into monsters. So this dude over here that's guarding the bridge, who if we went to talk to before, like I said, he wouldn't let us by, we can now appear as a monster to him and cruise on through. Single Fang Slime here is very nice. Hopefully that's the last random encounter of the game that I'll get, but we'll see. There's Twin Hits that I mentioned.
As an optional side quest, you can actually go chase that Mad Condor to its nest, and to get past it is another puzzle where you have to use the Change Staff, because you're told that he likes to steal shiny objects, so you have to turn into a Mad Mirror, and he'll pick you up and put you in the nest.
Yeah. I think in the remake version, like on the Japanese remake version on PlayStation, I think that's required, right?
That might be.
I'm going to actually pick up that money. I might get an extra encounter because of picking that up. We'll see.
I know they changed a lot of stuff in Ice, like that third castle is post-world content. You don't even go in there before you finish the Ice world.
So I'm using the fly ability here, This is actually, like, movement-wise slower to get to the next town than just doing straight box movement, but you get no encounter depletion when you're flying like this, so I can hopefully skip. I got the encounter because I took those extra steps for that gold, but
Yeah, the fly ability is what we got for getting the sky shield. That was the power that we got from that.
right. So
We're not just flying because, hey, we're in Sky World. You must fly through the sky.
I mean, there is some of that, though.
I'm.
All right, one last shop here. I'm going to sell a couple love water because I'm going to need inventory space. I don't have any more items. I got the cleric ring that I picked up. Sell. So I need to buy 3 expels. I need to buy 4 repellents. And then any money that's left, which I have 6,000.
I want to invest that.
I know.
Let's sell like all of my world dues for my love water. I still have 2,600. Like, this is an absurd amount of money.
That's a lot of world dues to start.
Yeah. So there's 2 places you can buy world dues. This is the first town. They also are available in another town, but they're cheaper to buy here, which is why I'm really taking the time to sort my inventory to buy them. As I mentioned before, they're a consumable that fully heals your entire party, and the fact that you can just buy them in the shop is ridiculously strong.
So yeah, this world is what the Orb of Light is being requested by the Demon Lord. There's a Demon Lord and wants the Orb of Light, but in order to see the Demon Lord, you got to find 3 heavenly treasures just to have the means to see this Demon Lord that all of these monsters are just following. So obviously this Demon Lord must be like really important or really tough or difficult, you know?
For sure. So here's the use of the Change Staff. It's a 1/3 of chance of getting this Skull Roo here. And in Terra, you can skip using that Change Staff. So the Change Staff will turn you into any sprite that's like currently on screen. Sure, I'll take more money.
Nothing but world leaves and world dues going into the final area.
It's going to be insane, yeah.
Why not more money?
I should be skipping it at this point, but it's like,
You know,
you got to commit.
Let's go with the meme. Just keep going.
Yeah, so in Terra, you can just, there was like a hole at the beginning of this dungeon, and you're too big to fit through it, which is why you need to transform into the Skull Roo. And it's like the only shape that'll actually work for getting through there, it feels like.
Yeah, it turns you into the Skull Roo, but somehow the rest of your party, including this giant grizzly bear, can go through that little hole.
Yeah, you can turn into a grizzly bear and not fit through, but
Yeah,
your grizzly can.
Exactly. Oh, more money.
And yeah, so you can skip that on Terra because Terra can just kind of fit through that hole without it. So it is a bit of an RNG point. Sometimes you can lose 30, 40 seconds just trying to get the right Change Staff transform. But here we have our classic DQ enemy, the Metal Babble. And this is why we wanted to learn Evil Slash earlier. So Evil Slash misses or crits. So let's see how many chances this takes.
And sadly, this one won't run away, so...
It's 2. That's 3.
3.
I had 7 in my practice run earlier. Normally, like 2 or 3 is most common. It's 4. I'm hoping to not have to heal during this fight.
I mean, you got so much
5.
money, you got enough world dues that you can use.
But I use a world do immediately after this, so there we go.
All right.
Yeah, metal babbles have extremely high defense. They're the metal monsters that are very famous in the Dragon Quest series.
Yeah, they usually have low HP, extremely high defense, immune to almost everything. So there's a couple of ways in different games that you can cheese them. Evil Slash is a good one where that's available.
Yep.
And in Dragon Quest V later in the week, we'll show you another way to get around them.
Yep.
And you can beat them with chip damage. This guy, he doesn't run away, but he's got like 25 HP or something. It takes quite a while to beat him down with individual hits.
Is it Dragon Warrior 2 Metal Babble?
Yeah.
At least it doesn't come with groups of 7 heal slimes with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't cast surround.
So I just learned Rain Slash on the bear. So Rain Slash is an ability that will hit every monster in a group, and we might see that used later. We might not. We'll use this World Dew here to top up HP after all those levels. And take the exit bell out. So there's one of the 3 items that we need to pick up. And now we're going to be going on to the next dungeon. So these next 2 dungeons are kind of puzzle dungeons. And this one here doesn't even have a boss at the end of it. It's basically like a giant ice puzzle, only using the flying mechanic. And unfortunately, this flight animation is pretty slow. So you're going to be seeing a lot of this.
A lot. This is probably a good time for Diener to go ahead and help us get through all this cloud.
Sure thing. First off, I've got some exciting news. We've already raised over $6,000 so far. So
nice. Good job, everyone.
Excellent.
Yeah, but let's keep pushing that total up and up. As a reminder, of course, all of your donations are going to NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And hey, the last few years, they've been a really stressful time in the world and had a strain on many people's mental health. In the United States alone, about 21% of adults have reported suffering some kind of mental illness. That's about 53 million people. Please remember to reach out for help if you need it. You are not alone, I promise. Our next run coming up after this is Costume Quest, with an exciting bid war for the main character, Reynold the boy or Ren the girl. Last time I checked, Ren was winning. If you have a preference, make sure you get your donations for that in. Got some donation comments here from kind folks donating in. Thank you so much. The Axeman donates $25. This is Hatchet Boy's first time here, and he's having a great time learning about different games and watching some fun runs. He's particularly interested in Dragon Quest and really enjoying this run. Thank you so much. Demon RHK donates $10. Here's to another year of RPGs for a great cause. $10 to the choice of the person of the host's choice. Oh, does that mean I choose a person? Oh, okay. How about myself?
Wow, excellent choice there.
Thank you.
Diener.
I looked ahead and at some of the new incentives. I always love seeing the incentives get met. I love seeing the extra content. So Blue Dragon later tonight has some donation incentives, so I put my $10 towards that. And Red Silvers has $25. Once again, I'm donating in honor of my friend Mighty Blue. While I've been acquainted for a long time, it was most recently we got to know each other while playing Final Fantasy XIV, and there will be a gap in the FC where his kindness and advice were. We're donating for Mystic Quest, but since the first name has already seen so much love from the community, I'm donating for the second name in the race, and naming it for his Final Fantasy XIV character, Mirene.
Yeah, this tower doesn't end.
And very fortunately, in the PlayStation remake, they sped up this animation a lot. You just instantly jump on the cloud, and it appears as you're jumping. So
yeah, the last room wasn't big enough, so they decided to see how many rooms they can put in.
yeah.
While you're waiting, why don't you head over to the Yeti, that's YETEE/RPGLB, and check out the awesome shirt designs there.
So Highspirits, does this tower, I know you've been playing the 3DS remake.
Oh, it's nothing this tedious.
They learned their lesson.
Yes. By the way, speaking of monsters, though, I need to know from everyone, are you excited for Dragon Quest Monsters 3 coming out this year? Come on!
I'm excited.
I mean, we've been waiting a long time for another Monsters game here, and, you know, I'm ready to go. I know, pretty sure we all want to know what Sorrow's backstory is, right?
Sure.
Don't sound any more excited, Howie.
Sorry, Haktical put me up to that one.
I did. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. We've missed out on a couple of
just a couple.
a couple of Monsters games that Japan has gotten that have not been localized. So it's great to see them.
2 remakes of this game alone.
Yeah.
PlayStation and 3DS.
Yeah.
Remakes of all the games, and we got none of it.
Yeah, remakes of 2. We didn't get Caravan Hearts. We didn't get Joker 3. We didn't get some of the professional versions. So it's nice to see them not forgetting about the West this time with Monsters 3. So yeah, I'm still using repellents. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to be getting any more random encounters. The only exception will be if I have to reset to a safety save then repellents are lost. So if that happens, then I will lose the ability to repel encounters. But hopefully, with this many world do,
And you just keep finding money, so it's not like it's going down anytime soon.
really shouldn't be an issue. This is an bananas amount of money. All right, so we get a nice little puzzle here. There's a few puzzles in this place. This one is closing all the coffins.
Yeah, so each of the coffins have 3 states, and stepping on each button changes the state of 1 or 2 of the coffins. But it only takes 4 presses to solve it if you know which ones to push.
Yep. And the next puzzle here, there's going to be this little ghost that we need to get him back to his coffin. Always spawn in the same spot. I think it'd be really cool if they randomize some of these puzzles, spawn the ghost in a different spot, or put the first coffins in a different state, so you had to figure it out a little bit on the fly, but you can just memorize it for the speedrun. And
You know, that sounds like a great idea for the randomizer. I wonder if anyone's made a randomizer of this game.
I attempted to, but it turns out balancing an RPG randomizer is difficult.
I think there's a second randomizer
Yeah,
out there for it,
there's
too.
another one too, yeah.
Yeah.
This game also has a lot of interesting flags, so trying to kind of preset things like access to the breathing mechanic is pretty difficult without having adverse effects.
So this floor right here has a bunch of gravestones that give you like arrows, and you just got to follow them to eventually find the button behind that one.
Yeah, it's the skeletons. You follow the skeleton's gaze.
Skeleton's gaze. I played the remake recently, so I'm used to that one's like arrows, you know? Follow the wisp.
All right, so we're going to use twin hits here on Night Rich and then by attack. I did a safety save before this fight because every now and then it can go poorly. He can do call help and summon Diago. And Diago is like this invisible enemy that spawns and can buy kill Night Rich here, or can reduce your defense to 0 or make you lose turns. And can generally, if it happens early on, like potentially cause an issue. So that was a safety save, but we had a very free Night Rich fight.
We still had a bear.
It's really weird that he has heal more because he also has meditate, which is a 500 HP heal, and the heal more is 70.
I have never seen him use meditate.
Well, bear was hitting him so hard he didn't have time to stop and meditate.
Yeah. So that's our last little puzzle dungeon. We're going to warp staff back to the, just like we did in Ice, we're going to warp staff back to our replaced shrine.
This means we get to see the Demon Lord now, right?
Yeah. I'm going to take this in. I have enough healing items that do better to heal it in, but I like showing off the Yeti Innkeeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta show off the Cowie.
Last town had a Yeti priest as well.
And then we'll do our last bit of shopping. That
How many more world dues how many leaves do you want? Eh?
how many things can I fit in my inventory is the question here. I'll buy a second potion. I'll buy a second leaf, because why not? And then I'll buy 4 more love water, or world do, I mean. I don't know.
That's so many world dues.
So normally I go into the final area of the game with, let's say on average, like 5 world due. On a really bad run, you might only have like 3. On a good run, you might have like 7 or 8. And I think I've bought 10 or more, plus the one that you find in the chest.
And a bonus world leaf.
And a bonus world leaf. Yeah, very, very lucky in that regard. So yeah, we're gonna go into this this castle here, and there are these little armor guys that are kind of guarding these side paths, but we can skip by them by using the chain staff again to turn into this mini demon. And they're like, "Hey, you're the cooking crew, so go on by." You can just attack them, you can just talk to them and fight them, but it's faster to become the cooking crew and more fun. So if I needed more money, there's a bolt staff in that chest over there that's worth 2,400 gold. I don't need more money. Takes about 15 seconds to get it, and basically I can get that, and I can take the war ring that I've been using on the bear and jump back into Sky afterwards and sell it and get 4,000 gold. It costs about a minute, but it's like really good safety if you need it. But I'm going to get the Steel Fang from this chest and replace the War Ring with that Steel Fang, and that's going to give the bear even more attack power. Even stronger bear. And then we're going to find Mudo. Anyone who's played DQ6 is well familiar with this guy, but much more tame in this game than in DQ6 because we can twin hits bear, who now has quad hits and can hit 4 times per turn for almost 200 damage.
Well, if you could do this in DQ6, it'd be a 2-turn fight.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. This is the true power of the bear.
So yeah, Mudo here is to be the last test to prove you are worthy of seeing the Demon King.
Okay, he used D-Magic, so we just need to simply reapply twin hits. It's really, this fight is like completely safe as long as, the only issue can be if you're really strapped on healing. Every now and then you'll need to use a World Dew on the fight, if he's really kind of trolly, but he was not this time. Only 1 D-Magic is pretty good. Get a couple of good spells on Kev. Kev just learned Explodet, which we might get to see in the next battle. We might not.
The Demon Lord, or Demon King, I guess.
Yeah.
There he is, the Demon King.
Yep.
Somehow Prince Kameha has become the Monster King, and so he's the one sending people, telling them they have to bring all this treasure because he's trying to help find a plug too. But then this guy shows up.
Yeah.
So this guy is called Dark. He's a very greedy monster, but he shows up and tells you, hey, I've got a plug that will work for your problem. If you give me all the treasure in this room, then I'll give it to you.
And all the treasure from the worlds that you've...
Yeah. And the magical items that we've been using to travel around as well.
So, yeah, so Kameha's going to be scared and kind of run off, but Waribo will give us the items to bring to Limbo with us. And we've got 2 fights in Limbo, and the first one is the scary one.
Oh. That fight's terrifying.
There are 3 enemies in the battle. There's a Centaur. This is actually a battle that's very different with Terra. There's very different enemies. It's actually a lot nicer in Terra. In this version, there's a Centaur who can stop spell you, sometimes before twin hits gets to go off. There's a Gigadrak who can spam Whitefire, which is a massive AoE damage ability. And then there's a Garudian who just kind of does whatever. But eats hits, right? Like your attacks will target it. So the hope is to twin hits the bear. I'm going to use quad hits. You could opt to use Range Slash, which would hit everybody once. I'll opt to use quad hits instead, which does 4 attacks against random targets. And Squiz is just kind of there. He might Lore Dance and make them lose turns. He might just die. It doesn't really matter what happens to Squiz. And then just kind of heal whatever damage they throw at me. So let's see what turn 1 has to bring. Put Squiz on Mixed. There's the stop spell. Thanks, Error of Rudo. So what I'm going to do now, not this turn. Yeah, this turn. Squiz didn't die. We'll put you on Fight, and we're going to put you on Charge. So if I put them on a tactic, if I had just used an item, the bear would just do a basic attack. But since I put him on Charge, he's got a chance of still using quad hits or Range Slash. Where normally when I'm using an item, he wouldn't have the ability to do that. So I'll just World Do here. I don't know, whatever. Kev needs some HP.
He needs a couple hit points. Let's just throw an item that heals everyone.
I'm actually just going to put him on defensive for a turn here. This fight takes a long time without twin hits landing, but it's not really a huge deal with this much healing. This can definitely... This fight can ruin PB attempt runs, though, and has to anybody who's seriously run this. Okay, first monster's down. I do need to World Do here for sure. Squiz is down. Oh no. Oh no.
Not Squiz, no!
Well, you could use a World Leaf and bring him back.
I know. You got 2 of them, you know?
It's true. This should be fine. Centaur's gonna die. I can survive another white fire if it happens. I'm like not even really paying that much attention to my specific actions because of all these world do. It's also a case where because I'm stop spelled, I'm really limited in terms of what I could do even if I wanted to. Ideally, you have Kev there using Exploit at damaging every enemy for pretty heavy damage, like 200 plus every turn. And when you get white fire spammed, you kind of just have to do in response because when all three monsters are up, the bear takes so much damage that he can easily be focused down with another turn. So you kind of just have to heal it. I'll use another do here. It's fine. I still have 5 of them.
Yeah, bear gives really good bear hugs, but is squishy as can be.
Yep. I'll use a potion to restore his MP, and then we are going off to the final boss, Dark. Because he doesn't want to just give us that plug. And so Dark has 4,000 HP, and Dark is a lot easier than a bridge fight. Dark has D-Magic, which is fine. He has Giga Slash, which does a fixed amount of damage, but the Armor Pete is immune to it. And the bear is partially resistant. And he's got some like Fireball, and he can do physical attacks, like some generic stuff. We'll use Thordane here. Top up the damage. And yeah, the only real concern is that if he spams Giga Slash on the bear, you kind of just have to heal it, but it's not really an issue right now. But sometimes you can get through this fight never healing, and sometimes you have to heal 3 or 4 times if, you get kind of unlucky. Panicle is another one, yeah, that's the thing you can do. So that's why I bought those. I bought 3 Sky Bells in Ice earlier, which remove confusion. So he can confuse your bear, which is, a cool thing for a final boss of a game to do. But he should be getting pretty close to being dead here.
Yeah, the Giga Slash is a large part of the reason we use the monsters we're using, because the bug and beast families both typically have very high resistance to it. And of course the bear's stats are the reason we use bear out of the beast family.
Yeah. So I don't have more MP to continue using quad hits. But
That means you don't have enough for Ice Bolt either. What? Come on.
now I will use a potion to get more MP. Not that it's going to matter because
Aw.
he's...
All right.
I was gonna say you should have brought back Squiz.
listen to even more level ups at the end of the fight.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that was the final boss of the game. Timing does go through the end of the credits, so there are a few minutes left. We got some story to finish up here. But yeah, that was a pretty solid run here. So we get the magic plug. We're going to bring this back to Great Log.
So plates didn't work, but a donut does.
I'm sure that is Highspirits approved.
I mean, that's just a giant donut.
Looks just like the one that was originally knocked out.
Well, surely they're going to put up a sign or something so that doesn't happen again, right? Like
Yeah, sure.
Some kind of precautions.
Yeah, no way
Yeah,
way
yeah.
that'll happen. So now we get this nice little scene of all the energy somehow re-entering into the tree through the plug. I don't know.
One thing we didn't talk about is as the game goes on, the tree is starting to sink. So like you can see the areas being flooded and the citizens start panicking and all of that. And yeah, so now there's nothing wrong with the tree. After the power of friendship.
Yeah, it's kind of a cheesy Dragon Ball style thing where just all the people you helped out are kind of contributing
Yeah.
their energy to make the Great Log float again.
Good old power of a friendship.
The true friends were the squiz we recruited along the way.
And we let him die.
Yeah, you betrayed Squiz at the end there.
Well, maybe I'm not a very good friend. So yeah, we get to see all these scenes here. It's kind of an interesting thing where like every world has sort of a second phase to it. I think I mentioned this earlier, but
Random horse.
yeah. Once you clear the world and after the post game and all that, you can go back to the worlds and there are changes there that you can explore, extra bosses or items to collect or things like that, dungeons. This game does have, so I've been getting all these keys to go to these different worlds. This game does have a system of random magic keys that you can collect to go to kind of random magic key worlds. And there's a whole post game of like diving through the magic key worlds and all of that. I've never really gotten too far into the post game, but I think the main game of this is like super great.
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 actual worlds after the post game too, and one of them, you know, kind of like with Pokemon Red and Blue, you have to trade one of the keys to the other cartridge to do all of them.
Yeah. All right, so now we are known as the hero, the savior of Great Log. And Prince Kamea is shamed.
Not bad for 6 years old.
Is that how old the main character is supposed to be?
I believe he's 6, right?
I don't know.
That's cool. And so Warobo says, hey, you never know how many worlds are out there. Here's another key. And yeah, so we get some credits. There are, like I said, the timer doesn't end until the end of the credits, so we do have a few more minutes. I'd like to use this time to just kind of give a general shout out to the DQRTA community. The Dragon Quest community is really fun, really welcoming. There's a ton of good people. We've got a Discord and a compendium with tons of knowledge for main series games, for spin-off games, for English games, for Japanese games, you know, kind of whatever you want. If you're interested in participating in the community or learning any of the runs, feel free to check that out. Obviously, giving shout outs to my friends Highspirits and TheCowness here on the couch with me, Diener on the host, and all of the other DQ friends who are here at the event watching or watching from home. Thank you very much for the support. Another special shout out is to Error Rudo. So Error and I learned this game 6 or 7 months ago. We did kind of a semi-blind race of it, and we both liked the game so much that we picked it up. And for a comparison, when we picked the game up, the record was 1 hour and 51 minutes. And at this point, my PB is 147, and Error has the record with a 144. We kind of went back and forth trading it constantly. It was super fun, super rewarding. And it's a great run to pick up. It's super comfy. It's really easy to finish. It's a great length for an RPG run. And yeah, thanks to Error for kind of just pushing me and, you know, we've had some really good races. We did a race in our Dragon Quest RTA marathon. It was on RPG Lima Break a couple months ago. That was an incredible race. If you like this, go check out that race also. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my shout outs. I'll pass it back to Diener for a minute while these credits are going on, if you got anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to point out our next couple of runs coming up. Next up will be Costume Quest Any Percent by Von, followed by Parasite Eve and Blue Dragon later tonight. Also, quick reminder on the prizes that are going to you'll be eligible for up through the end of Costume Quest. The Crisis Core Iron-On patches, minimum $5 donation. Zack and Aerith Perlers, also minimum $5 donation. The Final Fantasy Acoustic Arrangement CD for a minimum $10 donation. And for a minimum $5 donation, the Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood bag. Additionally, I want to highlight some of our very special prizes. $100 of cumulative donations up through the end of Exile Wicked Phenomenon will put you in the running for the 3DS with Capture Card installed. That looks really cool. I wouldn't mind getting my hands on that. And of course, the grand prize, $100 of cumulative donations throughout any point of the event will get you eligible to win the Steam Deck. It's the 256 gig model, so definitely be excited for that.
Excellent, excellent. So getting close to near the end of the credits here. Might have another minute or two left. There's going to be a little short scene, so time will end when the end pops up on screen. So there'll be a short scene that happens here in a second, and then I will call when it is time. But yeah, overall this run went really great. You know, it showed off the best and the worst of the game. You know, some trouble with the manipulations. Got to laugh at all the overworld money and all the items I was finding, and yeah, it was a wild ride and a lot of fun.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yep.
I had a great time watching.
You did very well, Haktical.
Thank you. Also, final shout out to Miria if you're watching anywhere for helping with tech and dealing with my Game Boy GBI capture. We were talking quite a bit about making sure this was all working right, so. Thankfully, the credits music in this game is fantastic. We have got a lot of Dragon Quest games that go to the end of the credits.
This game has a lot of credits for being a Game Boy Color game.
It really does.
Game Boy Color games, you see like 5 names show up at the end of the credits in a lot of them.
Yeah, and a lot of them, you know, it's the same people that work on the mainline DQ series. It's the big names, so you know they didn't go slacking off with this one. So here's our last final scene. And remember, we said that nothing can go wrong when we replug the tree here.
Yep.
Problem is with donuts, they're just too tasty.
Yep. We got another package to fight over. More food. And this time, you're going to fight with Prince Kamea about it. But the result, time. And that was Dragon Warrior Monsters 2 for the Game Boy Color. Thank you for watching, everybody.
Okay, thank you so much for that Dragon Warrior Monsters 2 run, Haktical. Really fantastic. I hope everyone watching enjoyed the show. I totally love RPG Limit Break, and I hope you do too. But with that, my hosting shift is coming to an end for now, although you might catch me again later on in the show. For now, I'll be leaving you in the very capable hands of our next host, the fantastic, the one and only, the RPG Chick. Don't go anywhere, friends. Next up on RPG Limit Break 2023 is Costume Quest Any Percent by Vonnie Vaughn. Once more, it's been my pleasure hosting. I'm Sundiner, signing out.
Hello, everybody. I am the RPG Chick, and I'm going to be taking over as the host for the next run here on RPG Limit Break 2023. Before I do that, I do want to thank the ever awesome Sumdiener for doing an amazing job hosting the previous run. Just to let you know, Costume Quest is coming up next, and we do still have a last-minute bid war going on between the boy and the girl characters, so there is still a couple of minutes to get that in. In the meantime, we have a $20 donation from Game Stetson. Says Costume Quest is an incredible Double Fine production and loved how cute and wholesome the game was. Ren is the best character, looking forward to an incredible week of runs. We also have a $25 donation from Anonymous for a dear friend who was taken from us too soon. Thank you all so much for your donations.